So my name is Joe Powers, and I am the president and CEO of IntraVu, which is a medical device company that's involved in the development of microimaging solutions. So the company was actually founded by two technologists that are PhDs in optical physics, and they had been involved in some previous companies and with imaging, camera visualization technologies, and they identified that there's so many opportunities to improve physicians' ability to see in very small areas. And I think their initial focus was trying to identify technologies to develop for treatment of brain vascular issues. But there were some challenges with that, and so where they ended up was developing this very tiny needle scope using chip-on-tip technology that enables physicians in the orthopedic space to go into joints, and particularly small joints like wrist and ankle, and be able to very, very clearly see the different pathologies associated with joint injuries, in particular soft tissues like cartilage and ligaments. So it's really a very unique and interesting technology that's going to enable the development of better and less invasive procedures to treat people with primarily wrist and ankle injuries. One of the unique aspects of our chip-on-tip needle scope, it's a sub 2 millimeter or 1.9 millimeter flexible scope. It's similar to the size of the injection needle when patients have a cortisone injection into their knee or other joint that has, where they're having pain and immobility. So it's a very tiny needle scope that can be placed into the joint. But then the other benefit is, like conventional arthroscopes that have a side viewing capability that can be rotated so that you can not just see straight ahead, but you can also see to the side, up and down. And so you're able to take the scope, place it within the joint, and then you can rotate the scope to see all the way around inside the joint to have a much greater field of view, to be able to identify pathologies that you otherwise may not be able to see with a 0-degree scope that only allows you to see straight forward. And so we have a very compelling technology that allows the physician to not only rotate the scope, but also the image stays horizontal. It allows physicians to go in, clearly identify with high resolution imaging the pathology that's causing the problem, so that they can then treat it using small instrumentation to either remove tissue or treat cartilage injuries by doing cartilage regeneration and repair or ligament reconstruction. There's a couple things that I think really make IntraVu an interesting opportunity, and a company that's planning to solve some significant problems in the healthcare industry. There are 27,000 ankle sprains that occur every day, which essentially that's 10 million ankle sprains a year. And of those people that sprain ankles, 10 to 15% involve ligament damage or cartilage damage that requires some type of surgical intervention. So with the current technology available, it's very difficult using larger scopes to go into the ankle and identify the potential damaged soft tissues. With our device, it allows surgeons to not only go into the ankle and be able to clearly see all the pathology associated with the sprained ankle, but they can also do this in their office under local anesthesia. So I think that's one of the real benefits of our technology is it enables the treatment of patients with ankle and wrist injuries to be treated in the physician's office, as opposed to in a hospital operating room or in an ambulatory surgery center that usually requires general anesthesia. So this is an opportunity to treat patients to provide faster relief or faster recovery, improved outcomes, and also significantly reduce the cost of providing the healthcare, because it's expensive to do these procedures in a hospital operating room or ambulatory surgery center. Much more convenient, much less expensive for these patients to be treated in the physician's office. So I think that's one of the primary objectives that we have, is to enable physicians to do many of these procedures in their office, where the patients can be treated and recover quicker and have much less cost associated with the overall treatment. The current standard of care is primarily utilizing conventional arthroscopic equipment, which is 4 millimeter diameter arthroscopes and instrumentation that requires general anesthesia, requires the procedures to be performed either in a hospital operating room or an ambulatory surgery center. And I think, what our technology represents and offers is the ability to move many of these procedures into the physician's office and significantly improve recovery times, outcomes, as well as reduce cost to the healthcare system. One of the physicians that we're working with, um, his vision is that within 10 years, conventional arthroscopic instrumentation will no longer be utilized. Everything will be sub 2 millimeter needle arthroscopy. In addition, he thinks uh, his his vision is that going to get a joint treated, such as an ankle injury or a knee, wrist injury, will be like going to the dentist. You'll walk into a facility that you go into to a treatment room. The physician will uh, diagnose the pathology within. Let's say you have a knee problem. They'll simply stick the scope in your knee to confirm what the problem is, and then they'll have um, treatment solutions available to simply open a kit and be able to do whatever treatment is required to address that situation. Put a couple of Band-Aids on the injection sites, and the patient goes home, just like at the dentist when you go in for a filling. It's a big shift, but it's an exciting opportunity, I think, to really improve patient care and reduce healthcare costs associated with all these various musculoskeletal issues of both ankle, wrist, as well as other joints in the body. There's only another one or two other companies that have a similar technology, and the unique thing about us is we have strong intellectual property that protects our ability to have the 30-degree side viewing capability with such a small needle scope. And again, conventional arthroscopy instruments have this 30-degree side view. It's what surgeons who do arthroscopy, it's what they're used to. And I almost liken it to a 0-degree scope would be like, going in and only having the ability to see with one eye. You don't have any peripheral vision. You have a limited, field of view, a limited scope. Whereas 30-degree side view capability is going in with both eyes. You have great peripheral vision. You can see a lot greater, area within that joint. So that's one of the unique characteristics. We have solid intellectual property and proprietary manufacturing technology that allows us to be differentiated from other technologies on the market, which I believe there's only two other companies. And one of the companies, which is probably the largest company in the field of arthroscopy, is really making a concerted effort with their 1.9 millimeter arthroscope. And so they're paving the way. And I think this is not just us coming up with a technology that's unique and novel, that's going to take a lot of training. I think by and large, the physicians that do small joint arthroscopy are very used to this technology, and so the training adoption curve will be not that great. And so I think we have a very unique opportunity to kind of leverage some of the groundwork that's already been laid to drive penetration and adoption fairly quickly, and really be able to have that, a benefit from from the groundwork that's already been put in place. Right now, we see like I said, there's over 300,000 wrist and ankle fractures every year that require surgical intervention, as well as the 1 million to 1.5 million patients that have sprained ankles that need some type of a surgical intervention. So we feel that the market opportunity is north of $2 billion in terms of the immediately addressable market that we see for our imaging technology, combined with other instruments to allow surgeons to treat these conditions easily and effectively in their office. It's a significant problem, and I think the thing that really surprised me as well when I started to look into the the magnitude of the problem. So 10 million ankle sprains every year, and somewhere between 10 to 15% of these people with these ankle sprains have either ligament and or cartilage damage. So that's 1 million to 1.5 million people every year. If these injuries go untreated, it can cause chronic ankle instability, arthritis, and immobility, which causes significantly problems for these patients down the road, which could require, bigger, more invasive surgeries such as um, ankle replacement surgery or even ankle fusion surgery, which is these are big procedures that end up, resulting in significant morbidity associated with these patients. So to let these patients go untreated, is really setting things up for longer term problems for these patients, and then significantly more cost to the healthcare system to treat these patients down the road. So that's a significant problem that our technology allows treatments upfront sooner in the process, and saves these patients significant longer term healthcare issues, and also saves healthcare costs to the system. The other avenue that our product is also being utilized in is we've got a strategic partnership that we've entered into with a company that manufactures X-ray imaging equipment. So there's over 1 million wrist and ankle fractures that occur every year, and of those, about 30% have a fracture that requires some kind of surgical treatment, surgical intervention. And the term is open reduction and internal fixation. So when you fracture your wrist and the bones are significantly displaced, a physician has to go in, make an incision, and put the bones back where they belong, and then put plates and screws to hold the bones in place. Well, during these traumatic fractures, a lot of soft tissue can be damaged, including ligaments and cartilage, and you can't see that using an X-ray. So we've partnered with a company that manufactures X-ray equipment to integrate our scope into their X-ray system. So you'll have a dual mode, simultaneous X-ray and arthroscopic imaging capability in one machine. So the patients with these fractures will be able to be brought into the treatment room, have their, as an example, their wrist X-rayed, and at the same time, with our scope plugged into that X-ray machine, the physician will be able to place our needle scope within that fracture to evaluate whether there's been cartilage damage, ligament damage, and then before they finish the procedure, evaluate whether there's any loose fragments of bone or other loose bodies in the joint that they can then remove before they close the incision and finish the procedure. So right now, it's not all fractures are scoped to evaluate soft tissue damage, but the integration of our scope into this company's X-ray system will make it easy and straightforward for physicians to using both X-ray and direct arthroscopic imaging to better treat these patients more effectively who have these traumatic wrist and ankle fractures. Between treating patients with ankle sprains that involve ligament or cartilage damage, as well as being able to address small joint fractures, wrist and ankle, more effectively, we have an exciting opportunity with a very substantial market that we can penetrate and be very successful at. The more I study this and the more I learn, it really is the opportunities to improve care, to be more effective, as well as less traumatic, less soft tissue damage when you're doing the procedure. It really speeds up recovery, improves the outcomes, and then also reduces healthcare costs substantially. So we feel like we're at the very beginning of a shift, if you will, in the treatment of many kinds of joint injuries and pathologies that will enable better outcomes, faster recoveries, and significantly less cost associated with the treatment of these conditions. So our company is currently commercial. We have two products, 510(k) cleared. One is a 1.9 millimeter diameter needle scope with 30-degree rotating capability, side view capability. And the other is a 1.4 millimeter diameter scope with 0-degree capability. Both products are 510(k) cleared. And like we're 5 months away from having 510(k) clearance on the dual mode X-ray miniscope system that will allow us to commercialize that system in September of this year. We're at a point where we're trying to raise money. I'm seeking $2 million as a bridge to get us between now and when the dual mode system is 510(k) cleared. And beyond that, we are seeking a $10 million equity round to fund the development of additional products and scale our commercialization efforts. We will continue to develop additional procedural solutions that will incorporate not just our scope, but other instrumentation and potentially even biologics that allow physicians with one kit to be able to diagnose and effectively treat the various pathologies associated with foot and ankle issues as well as wrist issues. So obviously the biggest milestone is the launch of the dual mode system in the fall. And I think once that system is on the market, we will see significant adoption among physicians across the country who are trauma surgeons that treat, primarily treat, these fractures of long bones and wrist and ankle. And so that's the number one, our primary milestone that we're focused on achieving. And the second milestone is we're currently working with some well-known academic institutions who are focused on primarily treating ankle cartilage damage and ligament damage that are focused on doing more and more in-office. So another milestone that we're focused on is driving additional adoption among the academic institutions throughout the country who are focused on primarily treating pathologies of the ankle associated with these, all these ankle sprains. Right now we probably have, 2 or 3 facilities, academic institutions where we have partnered with to do work with. We're expecting to bring on another dozen academic institutions over the coming 6 months that will enable us to substantially increase our adoption of our existing technology to allow them to better treat these patients in their office.